Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we're continuing in our series of initiation tales for the female. And today we're doing a story called The Magic Towel from Japan. It's a short one, but it also has to deal with the fact that fairy tales are often seen as nursery stories for like little kids, and maybe it ends with and they married and they lived happily ever after. But there are fairy tales for the middle years and fairy tales for the older years as well, because there's initiations at different stages of one's life. And especially for the aging aspect, which of course, why do I teach it? Because that's the place where I'm at. But also for those of you who are wrestling with the aging process as it unfolds, and of course, the end of the aging process is facing your own mortality. And so, three phrases to keep in mind as you listen to the stories and go through your life is, as you get older, the importance of facing in a mature way end of life issues usually causes you to deal with what we say is self confrontation, then self reformation, and then self transformation. First, you have to face these things squarely, and then you have to assess what's going on. That's the confrontation. And then self reformation is you got to change. You can't stay the same. It's changing anyway. So can you change along with it and do it gracefully and elegantly so that you face your death not ass backwards? And then transformation is you shift. You have a new perspective, a new way of going about things. You know, I like to say that when I went to the Magic Monastery as a young man, the master is there to rip your ego apart and not give you a shred to cling to so you can really let go. So it's as if the master faces you, not as if, this is what the master does, and says, you know, your body will grow old. You're not beyond aging. And your body will become sick. You're not beyond sickness. And your body will die. You're not beyond death. Everything that's near and dear to you, you'll be separated from. And so I'm going to ask you to relax into these facts and let go of hoping you can avoid the negative or the inevitable. And don't worry about how can you protect your heart. It's already broken, isn't it? It's the only heart that's worth having. So with that, I welcome you here. Now, in terms of my outreach for the power of affirmation and the law of attraction being a magnet, which I will talk about at the end of our session today, remember, when you turn over any idea with faith and confidence to your subconscious mind, then once it accepts it, it immediately begins to execute it and use all its resources to that end, to bring it about, because it has the know-how of accomplishment. You got to convince your subconscious mind by really believing it. Not that it's some hope in the future, but that you actually experience it right now. So for instance, convince yourself you'll always have plenty. You'll always have something to spare. That means you're getting into a kind of abundance mindset, which isn't just limited to whether or not you have finances to pay your bills. It's about the wealth and the richness inside the psyche and the heart. So the easiest way to understand how to do that is not do something that's soul destroying, soul deadening, but do the thing you love to do. Do the thing for the thrill of it. Do the thing just for the joy of it. And you'll see what kind of enthusiasm and energy that releases into your life. So in other words, your mind is really made up according to your belief, or the story you tell yourself, the narrative, the lens through which you see things. Or as it says in one of the old Gospels, according to your belief, be it done unto you. Go your way, your faith has made you well. So with that as an understanding, friends, the magic towel. Once there was a young woman who lived with her husband and her mother-in-law, but her husband was away all the time traveling. And so in those days, even though you're the wife, the mother-in-law kind of controlled the energy. And the mother-in-law in this case was a mean and vain older woman. And she didn't like her daughter-in-law. Number one, because her daughter-in-law was beautiful and she was not. And her daughter-in-law was also sweet and kind and she was not. So there's a lot of tension in the house. But the daughter-in-law bared it all with a great attitude. Anyway, one day, the stepmother made a series of rice cakes and left them out, and then went off to do some errands. And then while the daughter was in the house, a young monk came by, begging, and of course the daughter, not thinking about it, offered him a rice cake. And he thanked her very much and went on his way. And then when the mother came back, because of her control freak aspect, she looked at the cake and says, "There's one rice cake missing. What happened to it?" And the daughter already was like on her defense and said, well, a monk came by and I offered him one. He says, "What, you vain and greedy thing? You go out on the road right now. You hope that the monk didn't eat that cake and you get it and bring it back to us." Ugh. So what should she do? She was browbeaten by the stepmother. Anyway, she went on the road, and fortunately the monk had only gone a little bit up the road. He was sitting under a tree, kind of meditating, getting his groove on. And she came back to him and apologetically said, "Oh, sir, I'm so sorry, but I inadvertently gave you the rice cake without asking my mother-in-law." And he said, "Oh, I understand. You're in a difficult situation with her. Well, here, take the rice cake back. I hadn't eaten it. And I want you to take this towel for your kindness. And every day just rub it on your face, and you'll see what'll happen." So she thanked the monk very, very much, and off she went. Now, when she got back, the old woman noticed that she seemed to be getting more lustrous, more beautiful, more radiant every single day. And she wondered, what is this about? So she said, "I'm going to follow my daughter and see what she does." And so when she went out in the morning to the local river to wash herself, she snuck around and was hiding in the bushes. And she saw that she took out this towel. And every time she put it on her face, another sheen would happen, another shine would happen. She seemed more radiant, more lovely. She says, she has a magic towel. I understand. So the daughter, the next day, was sent on an errand to go into town, and the old woman found the magic towel, and she took it down to the river, and she started washing it. And the first time she washed her face, she became uglier. And then she washed it again, and her face turned into a horse face. Then she washed it again, and her face turned into a monkey face. And then she washed it again, and her face turned into a demon's face. And so she ran back to the house. She was freaking out. And then the daughter came back, and she saw what looked like a demon. And the stepmother said, "No, it's me, it's me." And she recognized the voice. Says, "What happened to you?" She says, "I don't know. I was washing my face with the towel because I saw you do it and you got more beautiful. And so I took it, and this is what happened to me. My face turned from a normal face to a horse's face, and then a monkey's face, and then a demon's face. Go get the monk again and find out what happened." So she ran down the road, and the monk was still there meditating. And he laughed hard. He said, "Aha, that's what happens when an evil person uses this towel. Well, you go back and just tell her to wash on the other side. Use the other side of the towel." And so she ran back to her stepmother, and she told her, "Just use the other side of the towel." So the stepmother went and rubbed her face with the towel, and went from a demon's face back to the face of a monkey. She rubbed it again, and it went back from a monkey back to a horse's face, and she rubbed it once again, and then it came back to her face. And she was so thrilled that she got back to her original form, that from that moment she just had a second birth. She had a come to Buddha moment, and all of a sudden she said, "I am not going to be that miserable, nagging, spiteful hater of a hag that I was before." And from that day on, she became kinder and sweeter and loved her daughter-in-law even more. And that is the story of the magic towel. So self-confrontation, self-reformation, and then self-transformation. Look at the stuff that's dark, be willing to change, and live to the new change. Magnet. Affirmation for today. I broaden my understanding of the law of attraction. I gain new perspective about what I want. Instead of chance or luck, I just apply law. I create on purpose. I give attention to what I want. Whatever I stay focused on, I draw to me. I am a magnet, attracting into myself all that I think, feel, speak, and act. May it ever be so for you.